Hello, everyone. This is day 2 of grinding Voltaic tasks until I'm the greatest aimer of all time. First and foremost, I'm going to be dropping a brutal truth nuke on you guys. While aim training, your Spotify playlist needs to be 50% sad songs and 50% freaky songs. But if you're a real young ho, the difference is negligible. Now that we've gotten that out of the way, today I decided to take my own advice and started my aim training before playing any Valorant at all, which felt very different to my usual whiplash like approach where I tirelessly grind for high scores while thinking about testing my newfound calm aim on my cerebellum. Although I will say it wasn't too far off from that deep, dark place considering I focused on precision and reactive tracking via Voltaic's weakness specific aim training resources. If you thought we escaped the community Google Docs, you'd be wrong. But hey, at least you aren't getting redirected to a sketchy forum that takes your IP address as a convenience fee. I'm hating, but Voltaic really does make improving really accessible and easy to understand. If you want to play any of the playlists I'm using, the Voltaic website is where I find most of my resources. The two playlists I used today utilized a repetition method similar to what you would use in a gym. Each playlist has about 10 tasks that you play 3 times each. From the research I've done, I've found this methodology, while sometimes draining, is going to be the best thing you can do to improve almost any motory skill. Due to the repetitions, today's session lasted about an hour and a half. I know I said that 30 minutes is optimal for aim training. My long response is that statement was based on research where the goal was to find a correlation between different training methods and in-game results, meaning it's considered more as a warm-up than an actual training session. My short answer is that I'm better than you and I can do whatever I want. All jokes aside, a simple rule of thumb is if you're only trying to warm up and don't want to burn out too early, 30 minutes or less of a diverse playlist is going to be perfectly fine for a warm up. Next, I want to talk a little bit about form. The main reason my tracking is not great compared to my flicking is due to the fact that I naturally keep my wrists locked and very tight. This is good for stopping power when I need to make one quick adjustment and stop right on target, but it's not great for fluid movements required by tracking tasks. This habit came from poor wrist posture I developed when I had a slightly worse setup. My wrist on the edge of the table, only relying on wrist movement as opposed to having part of my forearm on the table and using a combination of wrist and arm for a more stable and fluid movement. That bad habit is why my aim looks very shaky in some of the clips from today's sessions. That being said, knowing the problem you need to solve is most of the battle. So as long as I stay consistent and utilize the knowledge I have in game, I should continue to see steady improvements. I don't want to make it sound like having a tense wrist is always bad though, because in some cases it's good. There's a reason why my static clicking is one of my best aim qualities. You just need to gauge your wrist tension and change how much pressure you're applying down on your mouse every microsecond while you're trying to aim. Fluid motion when you're tracking or initiating a flick, and more tense wrist and rigid motion when you need stopping power or micro adjustments. Just be careful as to not death grip your mouse because that will result in very inconsistent flicks. All that being said, I found these two playlists very helpful and felt my aim was a lot smoother after having trained tracking specifically. In the Valorant games I played after this aim training session, I was hitting some pretty clean shots that would have felt a lot harder before working on my stability. I will say I felt a little lackluster in flick accuracy, at least compared to how I normally feel. I'm thinking that's due to the fact I was really focusing on undoing the tense wrist habit, which meant my stopping power was just slightly undervalued in the grand scheme of my aim movements. All in all, I think today was a pretty good step in the right direction to becoming the greatest aimer of all time. I think my next step is going to be more dynamic clicking focus to try and round out my skill a little more. I plan on coming back to the Voltaic benchmark we played yesterday to actually hit Grandmaster fully after I feel like I have a more consistent and even skill in each aiming subsect. That being said, thank you guys so much for watching, and I'll see you all tomorrow.